Continuing the trend of the last two videos, we're still looking at Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. This time around I'm giving you a kind of first thoughts or first feelings to Persona 3 Reload. And yes, I just bought it last week at the time of writing. If this trend is anything to go off of, it'll be another year before I even look at Metaphor ReFantasia. Because no matter how much danger I put my kidneys in, there's just not enough time in the day to play video games. All around, I think this is a pretty fun experience, having only played maybe the first 5 floors of Tartarus. In just those 5 floors, I was able to separate my thoughts into 4 things I liked and 4 things I disliked. We'll just go ahead and get my dislikes out of the way because they're just either nitpicks or personal preferences. First off, this is a nitpick. To me, the menu system in UI feels like Atlas just copied and pasted straight from Persona 5. Just changing the menu color to blue and adding a water animation. I felt like this was lazy and could have been tailored more to Persona 3 than just the color scheme. Secondarily, and this is more puzzling than anything, but why am I getting skill cards and shuffle time instead of weapons? Is it to balance off how many weapons I could potentially get? Because my money ramp was just grabbing the suit of swords and selling a shit ton of those random weapons to the cop in Polonia Mall. I also kinda like the idea that skill cards were a little bit more difficult to get than just out of a random battle as well. But I'm still moderately early in the game, so it could just be, the first couple floors of Tartarus being nice. Anyway, I should also mention that I haven't really watched too much on Persona 3 Reload because I kinda wanted to keep it a surprise for myself before we continue. And while we're talking about shuffle time, why did they change it from being a minigame? I loved Shuffle Time in Persona 3 Portable because it was a minigame. It felt creative and rewarding if you paid attention to the cards. This is kind of a mixed bag. I love it and I hate it. So with the introduction of the new collectible Twilight Shards, the clock at the bottom of Tartarus is now an option that needs paid for. This stretches out your time in Tartarus, but makes grinding a bit of a pain because you can no longer just go to the bottom floor and spend money to heal. Stretching my time out in Tartarus is alright and all, but I do miss being able to just clear floors up to the next story point in Tartarus, and then doing a whole bunch of social sim for the next month. Collecting personas and fusing them as needed to progress up the later floors after all the social sim and storyline elements are accounted for and such. So I guess we're ending this section on a mixed bag. I like it and I dislike it. I don't know if I can really count that, but it'll count us both for now. And now we're going to move into what I liked. Here we're going to touch briefly on gameplay elements. Now, fluidity isn't really much of an issue because Persona 3 Reload was developed on Unreal Engine 4. That particular engine is very beginner friendly as long as you know at least the programming code that goes into it. Off the top of my head, I think you program in C++, that or C#. Back in the day, I pissed around with Unreal Engine 4 and Unity before what's-his-face bought from Electronic Arts EA bought Unity out and just completely trashed, and I mean completely trashed, the usability for small-time devs. There's articles, I'm sure you can figure out what happened if you don't know already. Anyway, back to gameplay mechanics. So, you have the option to save anywhere except Tartarus, where again, you use the clock, and again, you have to pay for it in Twilight Shards. The battle system is pretty much beat for beat what you'd expect from Persona 3. You're automatically granted control over your character's actions in battle though. I mean all characters. Target an enemy's weakness, and you will see the option one more pop up, giving that particular character an extra turn in battle. If you're able to knock down all the enemies, you will be presented with the option to go through with an all-out attack. All-out attacks are where the entire team gangs up on the enemy and just doles out massive amounts of damage. It's usually a battle ender. I liked this system before, I especially like it now. Finally, and this is something that I personally thought was a nice touch, the MC doesn't immediately start with all of the skills that you need to just knock down all of the enemies on the first couple floors. In Persona 3 Portable, you were able to get Orpheus with Agi, which knocked out most of the enemies on the first floor, and then you were able to fuse into Apsaris, which had Fufu, which would knock down more enemies on higher floors. And then once you recruited Angel, you were able to knock down enemies on all the floors in Thable, which is the first block of Tartarus. I found that to be a nice touch. It made me use my other team members more efficiently. And by more efficiently, I mean they just didn't fucking stand there the whole time. For now, I do think that about covers it. Those are just a few thoughts I had on Persona 3 Reload. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click both the like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on everything that comes out on the channel. I know it's the same monologuing you hear literally everywhere else, but it does help me out. And go ahead and comment your thoughts on the game, even if you played it all the way through. Hopefully, I didn't just